Can you hear me? Good, cool. A couple of corrections. I'm actually from the UK. And when it comes to previous jobs, Gavin was actually an ex-Olympian, so I think he's trumped me on the record label stakes. So look, before I get into the Route to Live report, I wanted to give a bit of a background on ClearRoute and how we started, because I think it's going to set some context for you guys. So as an organization, we're 2.5 years old, and 2.5 years ago, we were sat in a WeWork in Holborn. There was a group of us, engineers, architects, and delivery leads, and we were grounded in one frustration. We felt there was a huge misunderstanding on what DevSecOps actually was and is. So everywhere we looked, we saw DevOps roles being advertised as cloud infrastructure roles. So skills around AWS, containers, Terraform, etc., but nothing about culture. So heavy on tooling, very, very light on culture. So we wanted to change that. We wanted to bring the cultural aspect back to our software delivery and the mindset. We knew that DevSecOps really is about melting the silos away from your software delivery lifecycle, allowing your teams to be able to deliver faster, safer, more securely, getting software out to your customers, and being able to observe it, both from an operational perspective and a business value perspective. So with that, we set out on a mission to try and change the way the Route to Live is conducted. And we created the Quality Cloud Engineering Framework. So this, for us, is a framework that has all the aspects of DevSecOps. In the State of the RTL report, it goes into a lot more detail, but it's our opinion on how we can really implement DevSecOps for our customers. But that wasn't the only thing. We wanted a way to be able to melt away the silos. So we created a new role type called the Quality Cloud Engineer. It's not a developer. It's not a tester, it's not a BA, it's not a release manager. In fact, it's all of these things. It's somebody that understands the Route to Live holistically and can help coach and train organizations to deliver it in a DevSecOps manner. That mindset has shaped everything that we've done, and it's the lens in which we've created the State of Route to Live report. So, the Route to Live report is based over 30 deep dive assessments across banking, retail, healthcare, and tech. It represents more than $2 billion in annual engineering spend and has insights from over 5,000 plus developers. But before we get into the data, I just want to give an overview of what our opinion of what Route to Live actually is. So when we talk about Route to Live, for us, it's everything that it takes to get a requirement from ideation all the way to production and all the activities thereafter. When we engage with our customers and our clients, we do this Route to Live map. That Route to Live map is essentially a real technical value stream map that's grounded in our engineering framework, which I showed you on the previous slide. And what that does is it gives our stakeholders a real level of fidelity on the handoffs, the bottlenecks, areas of contention, the toolings that's used, the teams that touch the code, and more importantly, where time and value is being lost. It's not a slide deck or a PowerPoint exercise. It gives you a real good level of detail, or excellent level of detail of what's actually happening with your engineers at the coalface. So these Route to Live maps we aggregated over our 2.5 years. And we found some pretty shocking metrics. And there's way more in the actual report. So this is just a snippet. Lead times ranged from 4 days to 104 weeks. Regression cycles in some organizations are still taking over 50 days. On average, engineers use 23 tools and sink about 35% of their time on activities related to toil. And in some cases, CI pipelines fail 98% of the time. So if you're in an organization that has Playwright or Selenium tests that you're running via a pipeline and they take hours and days to debug and they're always failing, those are the types of examples that I'm talking about. And those aren't one-off failures. They're systemic issues across industries. We've aggregated the data into five myths. The first myth is more governance equals more safety. So manual approvals, cabs, documentation, that doesn't reduce risk, it just slows down delivery. And in many organizations, when you have governance, you will see that people are quick to add more layers, but rarely do they take a step back and remove those layers. True safety, in our opinion, comes from automated policy enforcement and fast feedback loops. Myth 2, more QA equals higher quality. Adding more testers just creates queues and handoffs. Quality improves when you shift testing left, introduce continuous testing, and don't conduct it as this massive cycle at the end of your development life cycle. Microservices equals speed. I've been in many organizations where there's a big initiative to decompose monoliths, and what ends up happening is they implement poor microservice design patterns, and you end up having a distributed monolith, which is essentially tightly coupled, hard to test, and really, really hard to release. Myth number 4 is engineers know that the value that they're building, or they know that the business context or the features that they're building. In our data, in our survey part of our RTL maps, we found that only 23% of the teams could explain how their work links to business value. That was quite surprising to me because in organizations, I see these big OKR frameworks. And if you don't implement them correctly, you'll find engineering teams may build something that's technically sound, but strategically misaligned. The final myth is developer experience is a perk or a luxury. We found that organizations that use developer experience and invest in developer experience see a 3 to 4 times increase in their delivery times, less defects and more innovation. But it's not all bad news. There are some organizations that are doing well. The top 10% or performers in our RTL maps have shown some really good metrics. 12 times more deployments in a year, 6 times faster lead times than their competitors, which when the code actually gets to production, we've seen organizations release 75% fewer defects than their competitors. In addition, we've seen 85% less manual activities when good automation has been implemented. One of those organizations is with us today, an enterprise that's tackled its foundational delivery issues and is now moving to the next phase, AI enablement. Please join me in welcoming Gavin Monroe, Group CIO of Commonwealth Bank, to share his transformation journey and where he's going to next.
Thanks, Sam. So, at CBA, we probably had all of those negative stats that Sam spoke about. We are a large bank. For those who don't know, we're probably the top 10 largest banks in the world in terms of market cap. But with that comes a lot of legacy. We have tech debt, we have complexity, we have thorough control environment. Being a regulated entity, we have a very thorough, one would say, overzealous control environment. And with that comes, obviously, the burden of release and change. So as I mentioned, when we looked at how do we improve this, our velocity and our frequency, we looked at everything. We looked at Agile, we looked at DevOps, we looked at the whole process end to end. But we realized you have to change everything. You can't just go and solve the input or the coding, because you're just moving the bottleneck down in the organization. So you have to solve it all. And a big chunk of it is cultural. When we first looked at the problem space with ClearRoute, we found a lot of customization. In an organization with 15,000 engineers, everybody has their own route to live. Everybody has their own custom pathway. Their code is special, the platform is special, a lot of manual steps. So in tackling this, we decided we need to simplify. To simplify, we needed to standardize. Before we go and try and fix every route to live, we standardized on a few of them. We call them our golden pathways. We were never going to get to one, but we were probably above 100 when we first started out. So we simplified that, and then we started applying these methodologies that we just seen over here. We went after automation, we went after all the way through, and we saw improvements of 20 to 30% on our velocity and our frequency. But probably more surprising is we actually got a 40% increase in our mean time to recovery, which that was sort of unexpected. And the reason why we think is really on simplifying what we're putting into production, better understanding, clearer rollback paths, all those kind of things, which is normal. In the past, they would be manual. In a company like CBA, we all had a rollback path or a rollback plan, but we never executed it because it was too complicated, because the complexity built in every release. So it's sort of like a white elephant if you don't execute it. So we simplified that. We had clarity on those pathways, and that gave us more freedom to basically execute rollback paths. And then last but not least, we saw a significant improvement in our risk posture. In the past, we were trying to apply the control environment to every variation. So it means, in essence, you have a variation of every control environment. So when you try and improve your control environment, you are tweaking 1%, 2% across a broad organization. It wasn't moving the needle. Every conversation we have with the regulator is, why can't we go faster in the control assessment or the control improvement? So this standardization allowed us to do that. And when we had our simplified platforms and our simplified pathways, we can make significant changes in those pathways and improve the control environment. So that's what we've done. Now, looking forward, what we're more excited about now is on those standardized, simplified platforms, we're starting to apply AI to it. We've rolled out agents across that pathway. So we've got sequencing code. We've got our AI security patterns being run through AI agents. And because of the standardized framework, we actually are rolling out a Gen AI agentic framework on top of that. We would plan to envision a completely non-deterministic release path. We're not there yet, but we're building that. It's a little harder than what we thought. But the idea is with these standardized pathways, we can implement it once and we can apply it to the whole organization. So more to come on that.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. So thanks, Gavin. So Gavin and CBA have shown us what the art of the possible is, especially with AI. And I think that also is giving us an indication that the next evolution of the route to live is here, and that is agentic AI. And we're not talking about Copilot or AI widgets. We're talking about fully fledged systems that can reason, take action, collaborate across multiple delivery workflows, while still being traceable, governed, and outcome aware. Now, Justin Wilkin, our global head of engineering, ran a webinar on the run-up to PlatformCon Live, and he's also done a workshop today. And he details a lot about our internal agentic platform called Halo. It's well worth a watch. But I think the biggest thing that you can take away from those webinars and those recordings, they should be on YouTube, or soon to be on YouTube, is the journey it's taken us to get there. It wasn't simple, and we've had to do a sort of lot of trial and error. So if you guys are going to embark on this agentic journey like CBA have done, it's well worth a watch. Now, Halo, like I mentioned, is our internal agentic platform. And when we built it, we wanted to kind of eat our own dog food. So we started with just optimizing our internal business processes. So Halo, for example, does things like our recruitment. As you can imagine, as a professional services company, it's quite a critical part of our business. Halo will go out there. It will search and find candidates based on our job description, but it will also then do deep research on that candidate to see if there's a cultural fit. Culture is really big and important for us at ClearRoute. After we sort of did the first release of it, we started iterating over it, and over the 6 months, we've now evolved it into our DevSecOps platform internally, and we use it for multiple DevSecOps use cases. We have an internal accelerators program, which now all of our engineers leverage Halo. So when we're releasing software, we have agentic systems that will leverage golden paths to push stuff to our cloud environment and landing zones. We have agents that help with PR. We have agents that help with backlog creation and roadmap creation, for example. So we're quite far ahead in the AI journey. And Halo, as a system, can think, it can reason, it can take action, like I mentioned before. It has access to a load of tools, which we call an MCP mesh, and it can distribute the work out between those tools, whether that be Jira, pushing things to AWS, CI/CD pipelines. We give the agentic system the ability to access these tools. Also, it's fully traceable, so every single input and output is logged so that we can govern it internally. When we were designing Halo, we wanted to ensure that we got the outcomes that we wanted. So when we told it to do something, that it stayed on mission. And we did that by implementing 2 design concepts. One is guardrails, and one is traceability, which I just mentioned earlier. Guardrails we use in our agentic system to enforce certain restrictions and let the agent know what it can and can't do. And what it can't do, we lock down. And then we statically enforce those guardrails as well. And that all but eliminates hallucinations. Traceability, like I've mentioned, we log every single input and output. And that's good for when you're engineering workflows like human in the loop. You can get a human to review it and then let it go to the next phase. Or if you want to go further, like we have internally, you can have other LLMs and agents testing the output of that parent agent. So you, again, make sure that it keeps on track. So like I mentioned, we're quite far ahead. And we really believe that organizations need to start embracing it. We really believe that if you don't, you're going to be left behind and you might lose that competitive edge. But you don't have to do autonomous AI overnight. Our State of the Route to Live map has a roadmap for the next 12 months, which we call a prioritization matrix. And we really encourage everybody to start looking at the RTL phases and how you can start developing your own use cases across those phases. And when I talk about the RTL phases, I mean things like build, ideation, design, environments, testing, deployment, observability. And I can give you some examples. For ideation, we have agents that can triage feasibility. So it will analyze a Jira ticket. It will look at our backlog. It will look at a roadmap. It will also look at the complexity of the code and any calendar holidays that our engineers have. And it will tell you if you're going to hit any blockers and whether you're going to be able to deliver that on time based on the roadmap. For design, rapid prototyping is now on steroids. So not only can you design clickable prototypes, we used to do that anyway, but you can design those very, very quickly, and then you can slice them up to a web app very, very quickly and have it connected to real data sources to iterate with your customer, saving you a load of time. For testing, and testing is a big problem we see across the industry, we use it for generating synthetic test data, but also, again, looking at the code base, looking at logs, understanding what's changed within the system, and giving it the objective to write tests based on unit, integration, and UI and what's changed. And then not only that, is actually executing the test based on what's changed. And that can reduce your regression test cycles by about 50% as well. So look, the RTL shift is already here. I think as, like I've mentioned, it's going to be AI enabled. We've gone from manual to automated, and now we're moving into intelligent and adaptive. And the organizations that are going to keep pace are the ones that don't just use AI, but they make it a core part of their strategy, just like CBA have done. So AI-enabled pipelines, guardrails, and teams are all things that organizations need to start thinking about. As an organization, our mission, and we are a mission-based company, was to revolutionize the route to live by introducing the Quality Cloud Engineering Framework and the role type that I mentioned earlier, the Quality Cloud Engineer. And that's still our mission. Nothing's going to change in the next 12 months. But what we are going to do is start using AI and agentic systems as our first-class collaborators. We also think that the team makeup is going to change. We think operating models are going to change within an organization. My humble opinion, you're going to have smaller teams that are going to leverage AI. And I think ClearRoute as an organization, we're really well placed. If you think about the QCE, who looks at the route to live holistically, couple that with an agentic system, or couple that engineer with an agentic system, I think that's going to give us a competitive edge in the next 12 to 24 months. So look, and I also think that organizations that start looking at our QCE framework, and if you do adopt the QCE, I think that will put you in good stead to be competitive as well. So look, today we're releasing the State of Route to Live report. And there is brochureware out on our stand. There'll also be a digital copy that you can get from our website. I guess the final thoughts are read it, obviously. We spent a lot of money publishing it. Use it to benchmark. Use it to make a case for change, because that can be quite difficult sometimes, especially when you've got BA work. But I guess more importantly, use it to start taking strategic action specifically around AI today. I thank Gavin for flying all the way over here and sharing his experiences. And I thank everyone else for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.